think right this second he's a solid player.
Like Tyreek is a great player. He's a really good football player. And it always goes back to what you and I talk about, which is like Tyreek has an opportunity. He should have a lot of FCS offers, tons of D2 offers at this point, right? And if he doesn't, it reflects back on the outreach, on the marketing, on the sales side of it. Is he doing those things? Some receiver. So, and we got some good size too.
Yeah,
He's
you'll
not
like
5'7" like me.
yeah, you'll like this kid. You'll like this kid a lot.
How to Get a College Football Scholarship, a series where we evaluate active high school football players, break down their game film, and share with them what level of college football they have the best chance of earning a scholarship in. And then, most importantly, what they need to do to get to the next level. And joining me today is our head coach here at Next Play, Brian Overton, who has 15 years of Division I recruiting experience. So, Brian, break us down today. Who do we got today? Who are we evaluating?
Yeah, really excited about this player. 2026 wideout, Tariq Copper. As you can see there on the screen, about 6'2", 180.
Good size.
Really talented player. Just finished up his junior year. We've had a pretty good run of skilled guys on offense here the last week or so. So excited to jump in here and dive into his tape.
Yeah, I like me some receiver. So, and we got some good size too.
Yeah,
He's
you'll
not
like.
5'7" like me.
Yeah, you'll like this kid. You'll like this kid a lot. So, again, I'm gonna just give you a little context here. On the full evaluation, like we say, often on these, this is not a full evaluation like we actually send to the parents and the athletes.
Yeah.
This is more of a synopsis of, some things we may have told them to change here and there, and we obviously get much more detailed on the evaluation that is sent to them. But just for Tyreek in general, we did talk about he has an information slide as you can see here, but we did talk to him about obviously being a 2026. He needs an email up there. He needs a phone number, contact information, things like that. I wanted him to put Kinston, North Carolina, put his state behind his city there. He's got his high school there, his height and weight, and all that good stuff. He's got his X handle, which is good. So, but the most pertinent information, probably that needs to be up there as a 26, would be his information, his contact information. So we talked about that a little bit. We didn't shuffle a ton of plays. I thought, again, this is the second week in a row. We've had some plays on there that were in really good order. I felt like, he's got a good mixture on there. So those were just a couple of the things that we wanted him to adjust, on the tape itself. So having said that, I'm gonna just let it run here. I won't need to do a lot of skipping around because, again, like I said, we felt really good about, for the most part, what he had on this tape. So you see good get off there on the first play. Great route coming back to the quarterback. That's a good move and a burst right there to make a short catch, a long touchdown. You always want to see those early on in the tape. And as we go along here, you're going to see a good mixture of some
You.
touchdowns here early in the tape. He shows you he can put it in the end zone. There's a little tunnel screen here, and you can see him just run away from everybody. You know what I mean? You can see a difference in, him running and obviously everybody else running. And I'm not even sure you had it dialed all the way up there. So now he's scored from short twice in a row already. The quarterback threw it about 5 or 7 yards, and here's another one. Great contact balance right there. And once he gets his hips under him and starts going straight, he's hard to bring down. I think he's going to be one of these guys too, where sometimes they say he doesn't look really fast. He doesn't look blazing fast on here, but he never gets caught.
Right.
He's one of those guys. You know what I mean? Which tells me, like, right there, he had to start and stop right there, which tells me he's plenty fast right now as a junior.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like as though
He's
he doesn't feel like he has to run full speed.
correct. Correct. He doesn't really seem like he opens it up all the time. I liked his position flex. As you see there, they had him line up in the slot. I think he can play inside and outside because of his size and because of his movement skills.
Right
Really
there.
stuck
Catch
his
and
foot in the ground
drop
there
it.
on that route. Yep. Dad played in the league for several years, so he's got some NFL pedigree, which is always good, knowing he's got those genes. He's probably going to keep getting better and better. Good hands catcher. You can really see his size on this one here and his length. Really muddy field out there, but you can just kind of see his body type is a little more zoomed in here. You can see he's a good looking kid.
Yeah, 6'2", 180. I was I want I was
Again,
gonna talk about that first route. Was that a comeback route? That first route he ran.
yeah, look, yeah, yeah, and I'll go back to
I
it here
just
in a
like how he
second,
dropped his
because
hips and got out of it fast. Like, you just don't see that.
oh yeah, catches it outside of his catch radius
Yeah,
right
that was
there.
nice.
Hands catcher. Again, here he is in the slot again. Love his position flex. Little slot fade right there, tracking the ball. Does a lot of really nice things here. He had a really good junior year. I could really see people really liking him in the slot, with his size and his movement skills, and it's only going to get better, you know, um, throughout this off season. So I'm gonna take it back to where you were talking about here on the first place, if you want to talk through that one.
Yeah, the couple things. I wanna talk about contact balance because that's important, but I also wanna talk about right there. What are your thoughts on him, getting his hips
Yeah,
low?
he's being really quarterback friendly, coming back to the ball. He probably could have kept coming. He sat it down a little bit, which is fine. But he's just being really quarterback friendly right there. A lot of guys will bleed into that, like they'll get to the top of that route. They'll get to the top of the route, and you won't gain any ground back to the quarterback. He gained 2 or 3 yards back to the quarterback. They'll just kind of sit it down right where their feet stop, like right there.
Right.
A lot of them will sit it down right on the 45, 46 yard line, and he didn't do that.
And if he would have done that,
He kept bringing it
you
back.
saw the cornerback would have been able to make a play on the ball.
Correct. So you can tell he's well coached. Again, his dad played in the league, plays some receiver as well. So he kind of knows the intricacies of playing the position. Again, which means he's only going to get better. And I like his versatility. Playing inside and outside. And I like that he shows you he can put it in the end zone from anywhere. That was a tunnel screen. You can throw a short one, he can take it long, or he can run well enough to get behind people. You can kind of see as you go along here, there's a lot of too high coverage, probably for a reason. High school coaches watch tape too, and they probably didn't want him going over top of them every time, but he still found a lot of ways to hurt them, which is what I really like about
So
him.
let's talk about divisions, right? We got 6'2", 180, pretty good size, right? Um,
Yeah.
we talked about how he can run, right? But also it's a little deceptive. Um, you're right. It doesn't look like a burner, even though he's not getting caught. But so what divisions right now do you feel like he has the best chance to earn a scholarship and who he should be targeting?
Right now, I feel really comfortable with what we just talked about as we were going through the tape. I think right this second he's a solid Division II FCS player. I really do. Because of his length, I think he's plenty fast. I coached against several FCS schools. When I was in Division 1, I saw the type athletes they have. Several of them were very, very similar to him that had really, really good careers in the FCS. And again, remember, he's a year out. Always, I try to remind people, all the time, this you know, the class year factors in just as heavily as anything when you're talking about evaluations and you're projecting guys. Okay, so he does a lot of really really good things as a junior. Okay, and it's February right now. So again, if he does, which I doubt that very seriously that he'll do. Even if he did the bare minimum, he's probably going to get a little bit better next year. I would imagine he's going to get it quite a bit better next year. So for all those reasons and the things again that we talked about on the tape, his position flex, his size, I think he can run well enough right now to be a scholarship player at those levels. And I would not rule out, to be honest with you, with a big senior year. He shows a lot more burst on tape. and does a lot of the things well that he did this year, I wouldn't rule out at the end of the day if he has a really solid senior year, which I'm sure he'll have. I wouldn't rule out G5's getting in the mix down the stretch. After getting maybe 4 to 6 games of tape, I think this is a kid that can go earn FCS offers in camp this
Yeah.
summer. Is where I have
Yeah.
him pegged.
So Division One.
And again, this is all dependent on the outreach. We always go back to that. How much outreach is he doing? How's he targeting them? On X, email, DM, and getting how many coaches can he get the tape in front of? Obviously, is always the critical piece. But if that is happening, that's kind of where I stand on his
I'm gonna
his
take that a step further, right? Because a lot of players just send like their tape to coaches. It's like the way they send it is rude and wrong. Coaches aren't, so it's like it's getting coaches to watch it and then getting the coach to like you, right? That's like our whole process. So there's a lot that goes into that, and I don't want to too oversimplify it, but for Tyreek at this point, earning some FCS scholarship offers right now should be happening for him. I don't know if he has offers. It's not someone that we're working with at this point. It's someone that obviously reached out to us for an evaluation, but should have FCS offers, and if not, should be highly targeting Division One FCS schools at this point. And so, and to put himself in a position to get to drum up some G5 offers, like you said, once the season comes down. So a lot of people are watching this, Brian, and they're like, hey, um, he's 6'2", 180, looks like he can run, has a good, his highlight video looks good. How is he not SEC? How is he not Power Four? What are some things that he can do to get to the next level, right? And where do you feel like he's falling short? Because everybody wants to play Power Four, right? Everyone wants to play the big time college football, and obviously you built the recruiting department in the SEC, right? So where do you feel like what can Tyreek work on to really get to the next level, and where do you feel like he might be currently falling short for really getting to that Power Four mark?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of the things that we just talked about. We talked about his his speed and remember guys, and this is why I get on these tantrums sometimes about 40s and things like that. I've been doing this long enough to know that 40 times and track speed and stuff like that doesn't always correlate to football speed. Okay. There's two different types. You know what I mean? Sometimes it does. Sometimes a kid's a really fast track guy, he can go out there and have success in football. But I've had them go out there that are really fast and they weren't very good football players. Okay. So, but what I will say is, I think that's why I kept saying Tyreek runs well enough right now to land in the divisions I was talking about. If we're talking about like a power four level and things like that, there's really, when you see him break out of there and run away from people, there's no questioning that at all. You wouldn't say like it, I think he's fast enough. You know what I mean? You're saying he is unequivocally like football fast. It's really, you can tell by not even just the people chasing him. I'm a line counter. And what I mean by a line counter is I'm seeing how fast he's eating up those lines on the field. You know what I mean? Because you have no idea how fast the kids are that are chasing him. So things like that, the really explosiveness, on a couple of those tunnel screens, if you're talking sometimes a really elite player, you know what I mean? They've got the burst and the hip flexibility and the quick twitch movements enough to kind of get up in there and not even have to rely on contact balance, you know what I mean, and get hit. Some of them don't even get hit, you know what I mean? They look like they're shot out of a cannon, you know what I mean? And so it's very small things like that, and it's not necessarily things he does bad. It's just things that that it's certain characteristics that are much more elevated. When you get up to that area of ball, and there's not a lot of those guys. I want to be
Yeah, we're
very clear
talking a
on that.
couple
You know what I mean?
hundred,
There's not a ton of them.
hundred.
There's not a ton of them running
Yeah.
around, for a reason. You know what I mean? Some of it's God given. You know what I mean? Some of it's just God given ability sometimes, but that sometimes they're also not that far off as you would think. You know what I mean? As far as like the characteristics of playing the position that would have you evaluated up there, at that kind of
Yeah.
level.
And
So
we're talking we're
it's just
talking
small things.
hundreds out of a million. right? We're not talking,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
very small
I
percentage.
mean,
Yeah.
this is minute, small percentage. Like Tyreek is a great player. He's a really good football player, and it always goes back to what you and I talk about, which is like Tyreek has an opportunity. Like he should have a lot of FCS offers, tons of D2 offers at this point, right? I don't know if he does or not, but he should. And if he doesn't, it reflects back on the outreach, on the marketing, on the sales side of it. Is he doing those things to get himself in front of coaches? And it might get to a point, let's just say without his senior year, that enough G5 coaches also know who he is. And then over time, he's built a relationship with him and they like him where he could drum up multiple G5 offers, right? Versus settling for an FCS or a Division 2 offer. And there might be kids that are better than him that coaches don't know who they are, but they know Tyreek because he does what we teach and he gets the G5 offer, right? So, um, it always will go back to
And
the outreach, but go ahead.
yeah, and this is for a player like this, to me, this is the prototype where it is a critical off season, for a player like this. That's kind of on the bubble of really popping, and I mean like popping going up. If you do the right things in your junior off season, it can just really play a huge difference because the more relationships, like we said, you can build heading into the camp circuit and like heading up, get you some momentum going into that senior year where you're already on their radar before you ever start playing, and they're ready to get that 4 game cut up or that 6 game cut up in the beginning of the year. They're not waiting till the end of the year because they already know you're a good player. And that first 3 or 4 or 5 games of your senior year may get you over the hump with some bigger programs. That's why your junior off season is critical in lining those relationships up and trying to build as many of them as you possibly can heading into not only that in the spring evaluation period. You know what I mean? They're going to be coming by the school again here soon. Watching players, college coaches are. So the more those guys, the more area coaches you find, the more area coaches you build relationships with that come by your school, that know who you are, have watched your tape, and are excited about seeing you play in your senior year, or excited about getting you to camp and maybe coaching you in person now that you have a relationship with them with an opportunity to earn an offer. Those are big steps, man, right now for a player like this right
Yeah,
here.
100%. 100%. So awesome. Well, Brian, appreciate you jumping on and sharing your evaluation of Tyreek. If you're the parent of a high school football player and you'd like to see if your son meets the criteria for an evaluation, again, this is not what we give to parents. This video is more of just a highlight of some of our thought process. What we deliver to parents is much more detailed. We help them make changes to the highlight video to make sure that when you do send it to coaches, they actually watch it and respond back to you. So there's a lot more that goes into it. So if you'd like to see if your son meets the criteria to get a professional evaluation, I'll leave the link below. And if you enjoyed this video and want to watch more videos just like it, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.